What's up, guys? I'm BTC. A lot of changes have made Season 11 the best opportunity in a very long time for people to finally start ranking up. So today I'm going to help you break out of the low ranks with common mistakes that are holding you back. Quick thanks to today's sponsor, Pursuit. Pursuit helps you rank up in Overwatch by tracking comprehensive statistics about every match and showing you how to improve. Right now, my subscribers can sign up for free with the link down below. For the lower bracket matches, we're talking bronze, silver, gold, and plat. The team that wins isn't the one that has the exceptional player on it. It's not the guy that does something unbelievably masterful that just completely wins the match. Usually, it's the team that simply makes the least amount of mistakes. And while you don't have any control over what your teammates are doing, by you simply not messing up is actually very beneficial to the chance that your team is going to win. What I'm going to talk about today is largely game sense related. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that before. If you don't know what it is, game sense is the general knowledge and understanding of what is going on in the match at any given point in time. We're talking about the status of not only your ultimate, but also the ultimate of your teammates, the enemy, who is dead, who is respawning, who is running back, all the stuff that's important at that point in time. That is game sense. And improving your game sense is one of the fastest and easiest ways to rank up. We're going to start with something really simple but also incredibly important, which is the scoreboard. Some players don't look at it enough, others look at it way too much, but mostly the issue comes from people looking at the wrong things. So what's the first thing that people look at whenever they pull up the scoreboard? It's almost always going to be that bottom left. They're looking for those shiny gold medals. It's the first thing they look for, and as it turns out, it is the least important thing on this entire screen. So what should we be looking for? We'll start with what is probably the most important info on this screen, which is what is the enemy team using for heroes? Anytime a fight ends, you should be checking this and looking at the enemy team, making sure that when they respawn, they're still using the same stuff. And if they do change heroes, you need to be able to quickly tell the rest of your team, hey, they just switched off of Reinhardt and now it's Winston. That is incredibly important information. You want to know about that team switch before your Zenyatta suddenly gets destroyed. The second thing you should be looking at is the ultimate status for your team. How close are you to combo, to defensive ult? Do you have a lot of ultimates available? If so, then you're going to want to spread them out. Make sure that not everyone is using all of their ults in the next fight. This is incredibly important information, and again, not everybody is checking this and looking at it, so relay this information to your team. Hey guys, we have 3 or 4 ults for the next fight, don't use them all. We have XYZ combo ready. It doesn't matter what it is, just make sure that you know and your team knows, so that way you can get better usage out of all of those ultimates. That actually leads into something else. I'll come back to that in a minute. The third thing to look at is how much total damage you have, how much total healing you have. Now, it might have sounded like it was completely unimportant earlier, but it's actually not. The thing is, having the medal doesn't particularly matter. It's more about what your individual performance is. It's going to change from hero to hero, but a general guideline is you should have 1,000 per minute. So if you're a damage dealer, you want to have at least 1,000 damage per minute. If you're a healer, you should have at least 1,000 healing per minute. If you're doing more than that, then you're kind of doing what you're supposed to be doing. If you're doing less than that, you might want to reevaluate your hero pick and possibly use something else, because whatever is going on, something is causing you to be ineffective, and you need to address that. The other really important bit of information to look at isn't on the scoreboard. Instead, it's the kill feed. Now, I don't care if you have a 3 or a 4-man kill up there. It's not for bragging rights. The general usage should be to look at what the teams are currently missing. Did you just lose both of your tanks? Well, if that's the case, you probably should end your push and back up, and just wait for them to respawn and then try again. Did the enemy team just lose their mercy? That means they just lost their res and a massive amount of healing. So your team should start to be more aggressive and push in because the enemy team isn't going to be able to heal any of that damage. Or another thing, which is kind of like with the ultimate situation I was just mentioning, pay attention to that kill feed, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen a Zarya use Graviton and then go, hey, what happened to the Hanzo ult? Well, the Hanzo died about 10 seconds ago. Had you noticed in the kill feed, you wouldn't have wasted your ultimate. This is a huge part of game sense. That kill feed is incredibly important. It tells you what is available for your team and the enemy team, so pay attention to it. Now we're going to talk about two of the worst things that you can possibly do. Staying too long when a fight is over, and then trickling in. So the first part is staying too long. As I mentioned, you need to pay attention to what's going on with that kill feed. If you just lost both of your healers and you're trying to push into the second part of a capture point, it's not going to work. As soon as you notice that situation has gone bad, as soon as you notice that one part of your big combo has been taken out, you need to stop what you're doing and back out. If any of your team is able to escape and retreat, then you should do that. If you can't, then just run towards the enemy team and let them eliminate you. Or a better situation would be to jump off a cliff so that way they don't build the extra ult charge. But if that's not available, then just get yourself eliminated as fast as possible so you can respawn with your team and try again as a full 6-man push. If it's 3 versus 6, if it's 2 versus 5, you're not going to win. You're just wasting time trying to drag the fight out. Just back out or let yourself get eliminated, but either case, end the fight now. Because what's going to happen is you're going to stay in the fight, and then the second part, where your team starts trickling in, because it's now 2 versus 5, and you're losing, but you have 1 or 2 of your team that come back, and they start to keep fighting, but then the enemy team starts getting their players back as well. But it's constantly going to be an uphill situation where your team is always at that disadvantage. Just end the fight, stop the trickling, group up as 6, and push again. That leads to the next thing, which is being overconfident and reckless when your team has the advantage. So let's say you're on defense, the attackers just pushed in, it was pretty much defeated, and now they're backing out. But you see their Mercy is within range and really low on health, and you really want to stagger the Mercy so that way they have to wait. So what do? You go and you chase, but you can't quite get the Mercy, so you keep chasing and keep chasing, and then you notice, oh hey, you're really far away from the rest of your team, the enemy has just respawned, and they destroy you. So now what happens is they have a 6 versus 5 advantage, or maybe it wasn't just you, and another 1 or 2 of your team also got taken out because they were being too overconfident and they were pushing too far. So now, it's not a 6 versus 6, it's a 6 versus 3 or a 6 versus 4, whatever it happens to be. The attackers can just roll into the capture point and they're going to have very little defense. Now you're at the disadvantage and now you're going to be trickling in, trying to slow down and stall out that capture point that you should have had easily defended, but because you and your team were reckless and you pushed way too far, now you're going to end up either just completely losing the point or letting them get a lot more of it that they should have never had. This recklessness kind of behavior doesn't only happen in that situation either. Often it happens when a player gets their ultimate, so maybe a Winston or a Genji, they'll get their ult and they think all of a sudden they became immortal, they'll burn their ult and then they try to get like multi-kills or do something amazing, but all that happens is they get completely destroyed and now their ultimate is gone. The next one's a little bit tricky. Can you trust your teammates? So in the higher ranks, Master and GM, you can pretty much rely on your teammates to do what they're supposed to do. If you're playing Genji, for example, and your healer is Ana, then you can trust that the Ana is going to have really good accuracy and that they're going to be able to heal you when you need it, even when you're far away and jumping all around. If you're in Silver or Gold, however, that Ana's accuracy is probably not going to be all that good. So can you trust them to heal you when you need it? The answer is no. if you're up in Grandmaster and the enemy team has a Pharah and your team has a McCree, then you can pretty much trust that the McCree is going to be able to deal with the Pharah. But again, if you're in the lower ranks, that's probably not going to happen, in which case you don't want to just let the McCree try to deal with it himself. Instead, you should help. If you're playing as a support, maybe you want to damage boost the McCree, maybe you want to put Discord Orb on the Pharah, or maybe if you're playing damage, you might need to switch to Soldier to help him out. Just understand that the teammates are not going to be able to always do what you need them to do. So I'm not saying don't trust them because they're not necessarily trustworthy. I'm saying don't trust them because their skill isn't going to be up to the point where they can reliably do what you need in order to compensate for whatever is going on. This is where communication can really help out. That previous example I gave of Zarya wasting her ultimate when the Hanzo on your team had already been killed, that could have been avoided if the Hanzo had simply said, hey, I just got eliminated, don't use ult, don't use ult, don't use ult. That way the Zarya knows not to use it. Even if that player wasn't paying attention to the kill feed, and hopefully if they're in voice chat, they'll know, hey, don't use the ult, now we're gonna wait for the next push, maybe we can get it that time. Because that one mistake of the Zarya wasting the ultimate when the Hanzo wasn't ready could be the difference between winning or losing the match. Thanks again for today's sponsor, Pursuit. The link for that is down in the description. You guys should really check it out because, first and foremost, it's free. So there really is no reason to not give it a try. What Pursuit will do for you is it tracks all the stuff that goes on during your matches, far beyond your normal stat page. This means you, your team, your opponents, everything. You can use this to then review every single match individually, and it allows you to gain insights into things like what was the target priority, what was the first picks. The key thing here is that it doesn't allow you to stay in that autopilot mode. You can see after every single match whether or not you're improving, or if you're just kind of making the same mistakes over and over. In short, Pursuit helps you assess your strengths and weaknesses and to get better clarity on what it is you're doing and what you need to do to improve. And once more, it's free, so you have nothing to lose and lots of rank to gain. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault.